Goodbye, farewell, I'm not sure what to do. So long, au revoir. It's hard, but I'll pull through. Are you sure you won't be sorry comes tomorrow?
They all went sort of crazy, sort of running around saying, oh, you're fantastic, oh, you're great, you're definitely the winners, you know. Really? Oh, what did we get? I don't think we got anything, did we?
I don't think they
No,
gave
you
us a
get
prize.
anything.
No.
Said, you're the... We didn't have the bloody gumption, as my mum would have said. Oh, you stupid fools, you should have spoken. We didn't even ask for a job, did we?
No, we've won the competition, but we didn't get anything.
Well, what does that get? I think you gave us a free coffee or something, you know, proper roll, you know. Anyway, one bloke there called Peppy, do you remember
yes,
Fat
I remember
Peppy?
Peppy,
He
yeah.
ran an electrical shop across the road, and one bloke ran up to us and said, I'm going to tell my mate about you. He said, stay here, won't you? We said, yeah, okay. And then this Peppy said to us, can you come over the road just for a minute in my basement? I've got a little studio. We said, yeah, okay. He said, I want you to sing a few songs and I'll record you. So this was exciting. This was August 59, you know. So I thought, yeah, join in with anything that's going on, you know. So we went down to his basement, sang 2 or 3 songs. Okay, thanks a lot, mate. Okay, I didn't even ask for a copy. I don't know what he was going to do with it. Back to the coffee bar across the road, and this bloke came back. He said, I've spoken to my mate. He said he wants you to meet you here, wants you to meet him here in 2 days' time, and he might want to manage you. I said, really? He said, oh, I've told him you're that good. He said, oh, right, what's his name? Right, and took his phone number. Neither of us had a phone at the time. So we said, okay, we'll see him here 2 evenings from now, which we did. And he introduced himself to us. He said, oh, my name's Ian Samwell. We said, yeah. He said, I used to be the bass player in Cliff Richard's Drifters. We said, oh, really? Yeah, he said, I wrote Move It. Yeah. We said, wow. Yeah. He said, apparently you're quite good. He said, would you like to come back to my flat? He had a couple of other fellas with him. He said, sing me a couple of songs. He said, let me see what you hear like. And if you're any good, I'll see if I can get you a record contract.
So something was wonderful.
Breaking our mum's rule about don't go in. I mean, this was a young bloke, you know, nothing shady. It's in an open coffee bar, and he had a nice flat 2 floors up in a block just nearby.
And he was only 2 or 3 years older than us.
Yeah, and someone only a couple. So we were probably cautious, but we felt fairly safe, you know. They seemed above board and so on. And yeah, we sang him a couple of songs in his flat, and he said, yeah. He said, you're pretty good. He said, I think perhaps I could do something for you. He said, right, meet me up here in a couple of days' time. In the evening it was going to be, you know. I hadn't quite got into the dentist by then.
This is 2 years before Are You Sure?
Oh, the next thing was, he said, give me your addresses, and we didn't pretend we were brothers to him. I probably only just started using the name Allison. We were just the Allison brothers, you know.
Yes, I think we were.
He said, I'll come and pick you up, because that was a friend's flat he was in Soho. He lived in Tulse Hill.
Yes.
And 2 days later, he sent a chauffeur-driven Austin Princess to our houses, picked us both up with our parents, and drove us up to his flat in Tulse Hill. And then he actually explained to our parents how the management contract would work. And it was all very professional. We were quite impressed.
Yeah, very.
I thought, this was when I was 19 and he was 17. He was still at school. I said, I told you, you come up to Soho and something happens.
This is where it happens. This is where it's all at.
This is all happening here. We've stumbled over it by virtually the second time we've come up here. You know, this is amazing. Yeah. Anyway, so he said to us then, meet us a couple of days' time in Soho. He said, the so-and-so hairdressers, I'll get your hairstyle, then we'll have some photographs taken, we'll make a tape in a little studio, and then leave it with me and I'll take it around the record companies. So he said, don't do anything else. So he didn't go back to the 2 Eyes, basically. I suppose that was it. Yeah, no, he was going to handle everything. But what do we need to audition for? We don't need to go through that. We've got one. Yeah. You know, and even better, he's not just somebody saying, I'll make you famous. He's actually already connected to bloody Cliff Richard and the Drifters, right?
He's already written a hit record. Yeah,
we thought, well, he'll write a song for us. He'll write a song for us. So we went home and waited. Well, we went back to Soho a couple of days later. I've got the photographs from them. August 59. Had a hairstyle, and I just not had my hair cut. I said, I haven't got enough hair to have it styled.
We had crew cuts or something.
Well, almost, but then he combed it back. Yeah. I lent him a sweater so we looked the same. We both had yellow V-neck sweaters on. You probably wore the one that Lynette knitted for me.
It might well be, yeah.
Anyway, we had our photographs taken, and when I made a tape in a studio, I can't remember what we recorded, and it was left with Ian Samwell, and he said, leave it with me, I'll let you know what happened. So we went home and got on with our lives and waited to hear. And I got 2 letters from him. The first one at the end of August said, nothing to report yet, but I've still got 2 or 3 people to see. A couple weren't interested, but I've got to see Pie Record and I've got to see this and so on, you know. So because we thought there's no point in going back to the 2 Eyes, we don't need a do an audition. Apparently we're going to go straight to record. That's what we thought. And then in September 59, because he was writing to me, you know, and I got this second letter, I opened it and said, "Dear boys, sorry to tell you that I've not had any luck. I went to see Pye and Tony Hatch and he wasn't interested, and so at Brunswick, and they said no as well. So I'm sorry, that seems to be it. So thank you for your time and best of luck, and I'll let me know if you have anything happens, you know."
And that was the end.
I said, he hasn't got us a record contract.
Oh, that was the end of that episode.
That episode, that was September 59. Anyway, by then, of course, our appetite was whetted. And that was 59. We didn't actually sing with anybody then. But what was the next thing that happened? I said to him, well, perhaps we could get through it. We'd go for something a bit... Well, why did we... Saturday Club was all the rage.
Yeah. I think we went back down to Two Eyes again, but we never could see the guy that was...
We never saw anybody
singing
singing there.
Yeah.
And we thought perhaps it was all a bit blown up publicity. There wasn't nothing much. Perhaps one or two people had been discovered there, but it wasn't a hotbed of activity all
not
the
constantly.
time. We never saw anybody singing there. We must go. So we went up there 3 times. I got a ticket, right? Let me in, right? You know.
Yeah. So later,
here's my card.
Yeah. So later, we wound up doing a spot in the breadbasket though.
Yeah.
In
Oh yeah.
1960.
Well, so what we did in January, in November, we felt the Ian Samuel thing didn't come off, and I said, why don't we try and get on the radio? So I rang the BBC and said, what do you do about getting on the radio? And they sent me some application forms. So we sent them off at the end of November 59. Right, and in January got a letter saying, please be at the Aeolian Hall in February 1960 and you can have a radio test. And that's what we did. That was the next thing we did. It was a radio test in February 1960, which we didn't pass.
No.
Not because our voices weren't good enough. I've actually got the comments of the judges, because the BBC keeps a written archive at Reading. And I've got the notes of the committee, and they sort of said, well, their voices are quite good, but the guitaring needs pepping up a bit, and doesn't sound very consistent and professional. And one bloke said, well, why don't we offer them a second chance if they can get a better musician? And one of them said, second chance? We've never given anybody a second audition. We became the first people ever to be given 2 auditions for the BBC, but we didn't do the second audition. Because what happened then, you told me there was a bloke at your school who played guitar.
Oh, right.
David Ash.
Yeah, David Ash.
We'd love to hear from him if we've not found him by the time this is shown anywhere. But anyway, he says there's a bloke at my school can play all the Buddy Holly songs, including all the guitar bits.
He was a great lead guitarist.
I said, really?
Really good,
we could use him. So anyway, he came round to my house and showed us what we could do. And I said, oh, yeah, we'd like you to have as a guitarist. We haven't got any work at the moment, but if we can get together, perhaps we can get some bookings. So he said he was playing with a drummer and a bass player, and we then met them up in their home in Chelsea, and we started rehearsing some songs. We rehearsed in a church hall, didn't we? St Simon's Alotes, just off Sloane Street. And then, I don't know who it was, but I think it was Dave Ash, the guitarist. He said he'd seen an advert for a coffee bar looking for singers. And that was the Breadbasket in Cleveland Street.
Yeah.
And that was about, so we got a job in a coffee bar anyway, and we were there for 3 months.
Yeah,
April, May, June,
Yeah, every Friday night, wasn't
Tommy
it?
Steele started singing there, first of all, and the Vipers started singing there. Chas McDevitt sang there.
And she don't wear no. Yes, she does. Oh, yes, she does. Well, I'm satisfied with my girl. She got big blue eyes, curly hair, a dimple on her chin, long lean legs, pretty little feet. Oh, what a darling she has been. Or will she let me?
No, she won't.
Yes, she will.
Oh, no, she won't.
Well, I'm satisfied with my girl. Yeah.
Tommy Steele sang there.
Jimmy Justice.
Emil Ford.
Emil Ford, yeah.
Yeah, that was in the Breadbasket. But she, unfortunately, didn't garner enough publicity to point out the fact that Tommy Steele was singing there before the Two Eyes. So she missed out on that.
Yeah, it seems that the Two Eyes had the big publicity about discovering the stars.
And cleverly attracted loads of other singers, so everybody started turning up there.
Yeah, but the Breadbasket had just as many stars discovered, if not more, possibly.
Well, as you know, Bob, you don't mind being mentioned on the tape, do you? I, thinking you'd find it of interest, I sent you a copy of my membership card of the Two Eyes, but I'm going to tell you something you wouldn't realise, because it's in black and white, isn't it? Right, the real ticket's blue. I've got it here. Do you want to see it? Yeah. Right. Because I saved all these and I went through all my jackets and put all my membership cards all together in a bank wallet system.
All these years he's had this.
This is the Two Eyes coffee bar card. And something else I couldn't believe when you told me, from all the people you've interviewed, this is the only card you've seen. Do you want me to hold this up to the camera?
We'll take a.
You do another shot for that.
Show it to Bob.
Bob has seen it a few times.
I was going to say,
I kept it in a drawer for years. It was only when I was trying to gather all the Allisons memorabilia together I found it.
I can't believe this is more than 50 years ago.
Well, that'll be from 1959.
So how long was that? That's like 53 years or something. A long time.
7. Yes, that's 50 or was it 63
years.
years?
What are we now?
It's not 63 years, is it?
No,
53 years.
53 years.
53 years, yeah.
Wow.
And there's a special treat for you, Bob.
What's that?
As the coffee bar no longer exists, I've acquired the copyright of the Two Eyes Coffee Bar membership tickets, and I've reproduced them for you. And I'm very happy to give you your own membership card of the Two Eyes Coffee Bar.
So you reproduced these?
Yes, I reproduced them as a card.
Yeah.
So I can now quite happily hand these out as souvenirs of the Two Eyes.
Yeah.
So you're the second person at the moment, as far as we know, who's got a Two Eyes coffee bar. Would you like one?
Well, yes. Yeah. But that one there in the
That's
wallet.
the original.
That's the original.
Yeah. And as you see, it's very small.
2 Hours Coffee Club.
I've actually enlarged it because Cheapskate, they produced it as cheaply as possible, and it's smaller than a normal business card. Because my membership, we got membership cards for the Breadbasket Coffee Bar, and I've got my membership card from that from April 1960, and I've still got my original card for that, and nobody else has got a card from that either.
Wow, members card.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, these were just throwaway things. There must have been thousands of customers who had membership cards.
People don't keep things, do they?
It's possible that when your documentary is finally shown, other people will come out of the woodwork, but not very likely, I suppose. I'm going to put this away again if you don't mind. It's a bit valuable.
That's the original, yeah.
Fantastic, John. Thank you.
Well, I thought that's a surprise.
I want to look at.
You never expected that, did you? I'm so pleased. That pleases me. That's great. I was so happy when you told. First of all, I was in a state of disbelief. What do you mean I've got the only card? Nobody else has got one. Wee Willie Harris, Vince Eager, Terry Dean, even Cliff.
Blimey.
They all sang there. Some of them sang there several times. None of them kept their membership card.
Well,
I can't believe it. So the first thing that amazed me, I thought, well, I didn't. It's not something to be. It's an accident. I've got one. But then I thought was, I'm going to have these printed. So I thought, well, I'll give you one as a surprise. I'm so pleased you really like it. You didn't expect to get one. Okay. I'll give you one too. Okay.
Any thought? I mean, can you remember what the Two Eyes was like? Can you? I mean, because you only went during the day, didn't you? Do you want to?
Well, early evening.
Can you remember what the Two Eyes? Both of you remember what it was like?
Not very much. It was just a lot of glass and chrome, and it was lit up a lot. And just an ordinary coffee bar counter inside.
Rocking at the Two Eyes. We're rocking at the Two Eyes. Yeah, rocking at the Two Eyes. We're rocking at the Two Eyes. We're rocking at the Two Eyes. We won't be on tonight.
To go to the part where you sang, you had to go downstairs.
I was going to say, we went downstairs, if I recall
But it was
correctly
just
then.
bricks. Probably painted.
Yeah.
Not very. Can't remember it very clearly.
Well, a bit like the breadbasket was downstairs.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
but the breadbasket was more attractive than the Two Eyes, wasn't it? It actually was much nicer, the breadbasket. There was a nice lady running it, wasn't she? She had a jukebox thing fixed to the wall upstairs. Do you remember? And then it was downstairs as well. And they played records in between our spots.
Right.
We'd sing for half an hour, 40 minutes, and then take a break, and then sing for another 35 to 40 minutes, take a break, do another lot, then pack up your things and go. Unless you stayed. She said, if you like to stay while I'm clearing up, that's up to midnight, you can have a free coffee and a salad sandwich. I said, all right, yes, we'll stay, thank you very much. But if you did that, you missed the last underground train back home.
No.
And the only other way to get home was to go in a taxi. We tried it once, and that was 12 bob. I said, we're not doing that again.
No.
What? Can you imagine 12? We said, we got you home quick. But I thought, well, I have no money. There's 6 bob left each.
Yeah,
We've sung
we
all
didn't
night.
do that.
So from then on, we walked home. Got a free coffee and a salad sandwich and 12 bob, and you walked home, you know. And we used to pass street cleaners and milk floats, you know.
That's right.
Getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Where have you been? What are you doing? Just singing in the coffee bar, Mum. Our mums never went up to the coffee bar and watched us, did they?
No,
Wouldn't
they
it be
never
nice
came
if they'd
up
gone
to see us.
Come and see us singing, Mum.
Well,
Oh, what a shame. What a shame that was.
wow.
Going.
So we never did go back in the Two Eyes, no, but no, it was just, well, you didn't think to take much note of it then, sort of thing. The thing is, I've learnt since there were other coffee bars around that had singers, but we never noticed any, did we?
No, no.
Mostly restaurants, Soho was then.
Yeah.
You got some specific question?
No, I just really going to say sort of. Let's look at an overview of the period. Certainly when that magic time when you got. I'm thinking of sort of something to sort of look back on as a final thoughts from both of you, really.
Well, in actual fact, the scene was comparatively quiet. I think possibly because compared to now, not a lot of fuss was made of celebrity. So if you were a singer, you weren't thought of anything special. One or two outstanding ones like Tommy Steele, Lonnie Donegan, perhaps Marty Wilde. But for the rest of us, it was sort of fairly low key. And it had very obviously strong and definite connection with the rock and roll. And it's rather looked down upon at the time, sort of thing. It wasn't exactly a high art form that was thought much of. Well, that's all right for fun. What are you going to do as a proper job, Don't go wasting your time doing that sort of thing. So we very much regarded it as a bit of fun that we could do as a hobby in their spare time, but there was not much point in thinking of it as a serious career or a serious possibility. But if you did, I said to him, well, I'd picked up a saying, it's the wheel that squeaks gets the grease, So if you didn't try anything, it's like not buying a lottery ticket. If you don't buy a raffle ticket, you don't stand any chance of winning. So if you're going to, why waste your time? You might as well do something rather than nothing, and something may happen. And incredibly, at different times, when we tried it, something happened.
Something happened.
Good heavens, I thought. Like, weeks of, like, an arid desert, nothing going on. We go out and do one thing. Another little thing we hadn't mentioned, in the end of November 59, one Sunday, we used to go up to a ballroom at Putney. It was called a ballroom. It was a dance hall for kids. St Mary's Ballroom off Putney High Street. And we were ligging around one Sunday. We'd finished our church evening service, and I said to him, well, why didn't we go up to St Mary's with my guitar? We know that we've spoken to the manager. Why don't we ask him if we can do a spot? He might sort of pay us to sing. This was before the coffee bar. We didn't know how you got paid, but perhaps he might give us £1 each for singing. The kids all paid to go in. So we walked up to Putney, just over Putney Bridge from us, round the corners of the church, the dance hall, and he was opening the doors and windows. Oh, good evening, Mr. Leonard, or whatever his name was, Yeah, hello. We come every week or most weeks. So could we do an audition for you? He said, yeah, all right, okay, come on, get up on the stage. So I'm just opening the doors and things. So we went up on the little stage, no microphone or anything, but just where the mic was. And we started singing a few songs that we knew, Buddy Holly, the Everly Brothers, that sort of thing, Ricky Nelson, that sort of thing. And suddenly, much to our amazement, in walks Emil Ford, who was at #1 in the charts with Why Do You Wanna Make Those Eyes at Me For? Well, we saw him look at us, and he's, nearly Abraham. His name was Mr. Abraham, the hall manager, Right. We saw Emil talk to the hall manager, and they said something, but I thought he was saying to him, are those two going to be off the stage when it's my turn to get up there? So I thought we'll probably get off in a minute. Anyway, he disappeared around to the dressing rooms. We finished singing our song, and the manager came towards us. He said, oh, well done, boys, that sounded quite good. He said, Mr. Ford says, would you like to sing with him tonight? I said, what, on stage? He said, yeah. And we just went out for an audition. We thought, I said, yeah, come back next week and I might let you do something. He said, what, tonight? He said, yeah. I said, wow. That was early December 59.
Yeah.
So he said he wants you to go into his dressing room and have a word with his guitarist. So we went in there. And I remember we sang him one song, and he said, oh, can you raise the key a bit? So I said, well, I don't know how to, So the lead guitarist showed me. He said, well, that's F. He said, if you go up 2 notches, that's G. I said, is it? Well, that's clever. I said, what a good idea. He said, yeah, and if you go over to here, he said, that becomes A. I said, I didn't know what he was talking about, but I didn't know how to do it. Nobody showed me. He said, even the jazz guitarist didn't show me. I said, oh, they all move up and down, you mean? He said, yeah. I said, oh, it's beginning to make sense now. Oh, right, you don't have to learn a whole load of new chords for every song you sing. You just slide the same ones up and down. I thought, well, that's bloody clever. This is going to make it easier.
Yeah.
Well,
Make life
anyway,
easier.
so we changed the key of one song that night. I think it was one of the Everly songs. And we got a bit nervous. We stayed back in the dressing room. This is mad. Our mums will wonder where we are. We walked up to Putney to ask for an audition, and we're going to do a show. Anyway, he called us out on stage and introduced us. We went up to sing 2 or 3 songs with Emil Ford and his group, the Checkmates. He said, very well done, boys. And we went back off the dressing room and said, wow, we've done a show with a real singer.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
On stage.
Anyway, he came back in the dressing room. He said, I'll let you know why I'm here. He said, I signed a contract with the manager before I made a record. He said, and I've just got to finish off 2 shows to finish the contract.
Yes, because we couldn't understand. Emil Ford's got #1. He's #1, top of the charts.
Yeah.
Why is he playing at this little
Obscure little dance hall
Mary's
off Putney High Street?
Putney. But then the contract, as John explains,
Yeah.
it was to do with contractually. He'd already signed for it
Something else
months
we were learning.
before.
If you sign up for shows and you suddenly have a hit, you've still got to finish off the
You've
shows.
still got to
you've
finish
agreed
off
to,
the ones
yeah.
you signed for. Fair enough, you know.
So then he said, well, I've got to be back here in 2 weeks. He said, well, I'd like to do another one after Christmas. And we said, oh, yes, please.
Right, yeah.
So he said, well, I'll do the same sort of numbers. He said, that'll be okay, you know. He said, rehearse a bit. So we rehearsed over Christmas, you know. Perhaps added one more song to the spot. I did 4 songs. Met him again up at the same ballroom 2 weeks later. Went on stage with him again. Now, there is a story attached to this, even though it's a story in itself. Back in the dressing room after the second show, yeah, he said, you're pretty good, you fellas. It sounds quite good. He said, what are you actually doing with yourselves? We said, well, nothing very much. We don't know what to do.
Not a lot.
I said, I've applied for a BBC audition. And he said, have you thought about singing in a coffee bar? We said, well, yeah, we'd like to. We told him about the 2 Eyes and the Top 10 Coffee Bar Club, you know. We said, we can't seem to get a regular booking anywhere. And we weren't really trying. That's what why didn't we go back to the Top 10? Or even back to the 2 Eyes?
Back to the 2 Eyes.
But we just, I don't know, we kept withering away. Our enthusiasm kept withering away, you know.
Yeah.
So then he said, I recommend, he said, what you want to do is split up. We said, why? He said, well, it's a bit unusual for 2 fellas to sing together. He said, one of you find yourself a coffee bar job, and then when you've got your feet under the door or under the table, he said, bring your mate in. He said, no, they won't consider it so unusual. We said, oh. All right, okay. So anyway, okay, thank you, Mr. Ford. Good night. Okay, we'll see you again. And he lived in Fulham, and we did actually see his brother around. I've got a couple of references in my diary that we met his brother in Munster Road and gave him a tape to give to Emil. You know, we made a tape, you see, for him, thinking he might be able to help us get on record. He was on Pi, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
We thought, well, he's already making records a bit like Ian, so surely he can say to the recording manager, I just had 2 fellas sing on my show. They're great. And I still don't understand why he didn't. Anyway, so, but that was what he said to us. We'll get you. So we went home talking about it, and we said, no, we're not going to split up. We've got a good sound. Why would we want to split up?
No.
That's a strange bit of advice. Anyway, that was in December. The following April, in the beginning of April, we did an audition for the Breadbasket Coffee Bar, and the woman said, yes, you're great, you can start tomorrow night. We're packing up our guitars, and she said, oh, by the way, she said, do you know whose evening you're taking over on Friday nights? We said, no, we've never heard of you before. She said, Emil Ford used to sing here on Friday nights.
Yeah,
And we said, well, why didn't he tell us? He didn't even name the coffee bar. I'm still to this day, and unfortunately, I've got to say at this moment, I last spoke to Emil about 2 years ago. He rang me and said he was sending me a demo disc or something, some CD, and he's nearly blind with glaucoma, which is shocking. He was lovely, very nice, friendly bloke. 2 of his brothers played in his backing group, you know. Nice bloke, but he's got that and made some lovely records. He was very advanced compared to other people because he was the first person we saw, and I think it was at St Mary's as well, who had 2 girl backing singers on stage with him.
Oh, yeah.
With their own microphone. That was very unusual.
Yeah.
Never seen anybody. And apparently he's quite clever in electronics, and he designed his own range of speakers and mixers and microphone equipment and so on, you know.
I know that.
He told me he'd lent all his stuff to something like Deep Purple or something, or there's another one. Who wrote The Wall or something? Pink Floyd. I knew it was a colour. Pink Floyd.
No,
and then he said they wouldn't let him have the speakers back, and they claimed that they designed them, and he was very angry about it. He was threatening to sue them and so on. You know.
Could we just go?
Did you want to ask a question, Bob?
Not
Get us going.
No, that's fine. That's superb. How did the record come along? How did you get to there?
The record.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I had been getting the Eagle comic from issue number 2. I admired the artwork, the writing was good, and in the middle they had a big blow-up of engineering parts, how a mine worked, how a steam train worked, you know, how a car worked, how a camera worked, and I thought these were fascinating. I can see the bloke's name now, by L. Ashwell Wood. And I thought, he's a clever bloke, look at all these exploded drawings, and motorways of the future. That's very primitive, you know. But anyway, I got it from 1952, and I was still getting it in 1960, and my mum used to say to me, oh, you're not still getting that comic, are you? You're a grown-up now. I said, no, Mum, it's interesting, Mum, it's really good, you know. So thank goodness I didn't stop it, because in August 1960, it's exactly the sequence of events. In August 1960, Bob and I had already done a BBC radio audition and failed it, not because of our singing, but because my guitar playing wasn't good enough. We'd already sung in a coffee bar for 3 months and done a few amateur shows, but nothing much had happened and we didn't know what to do next. And I said to Bob, we've got to keep our eyes open for any opportunity to try and make something happen. That's the trigger. There's going to be something that will, if it's going to happen, it's going to be something we've noticed. And I opened the Eagle in August 1960 and read about the Boys and Girls exhibition at Olympia. And I just glanced down because I think then I would have thought I was too old for it. And I said, talent show. Are you the new Cliff Richard? I thought, a talent show, a spot, something to do something. So I rushed around to Bob. I said, there's a talent show at the Boys and Girls exhibition. Now, luckily for us, it was just down the road. We lived in Fulham, and it was just down North End Road, which is the shopping market, and Olympia was at the end of it. I said, I reckon we ought to go in for it. He said, yeah, all right, you know, whatever you say.
I remember thinking, though, we were a bit old for that, because by this time I was 17.
I was 19.
Yeah, I thought Boys and Girls.
I was 20, you were 18.
Yeah, so I thought we're a bit old perhaps for it.
Well, I remember walking down the road
It doesn't say there's an age limit.
There's no age limit on it.
limit.
At least it's up to the age of 14, that would have been finished, you know. Anyway, I remember walking down North End Road with you and you sort of saying, I hope they don't bar us from entering. I said, well, let's just not mention our age.
No,
we didn't look old for our age, you know. We looked about 15, I suppose, you know. Fairly immature. Anyway, we went down there and paid our money to go in. I did 3 and 6 or something, you know. We found the stand, queued up with all the other kids, and they said, what's your name and what are you going to say? I took my guitar down, you know, and we queued up and we got up on the stage. So what are you going to sing? We said, well, we'll do a Buddy Holly number and everything. Okay. And they had a pianist, a bass player and a drummer, and they sort of said, do you want us to play? I said, I don't think so, that's all right, you know. We'll start and you follow us, you know, because we'd already sung in the coffee bar. So I suppose in a way we were a bit advantaged, but we didn't think of it like that. It's a talent competition. Yeah. Okay. So we stood at the mic and we just started off, you know. Well, I don't know.
We sang Colette.
Well, we sang Colette, didn't we? Oh,
yeah.
right. So
Billy Furier's double track
song,
Colette.
We harmonised it, you know. And we stopped and they said, thanks a lot, fellas. Would you mind coming back this evening? And we said, why? Why? Didn't you record it properly? They said, but they didn't explain. They said, could you come back this evening? Come back when it's closing, about 6 o'clock. And we said, they didn't tell us why. We said, yeah, okay. I think they probably said something, we'd like to record you properly. So I said, yeah, okay, right, okay. So we went home and ligged about for a bit, you know. Yeah. Went back in the evening, walked down North End Road, and we went back. I can't remember going back in, but we went back, you know. Some things have gone, you know. Anyway, we got up on the stand and they made us record 2 or 3 more. Right, okay, finished singing, thanks very much. And the players played with us, you know. Didn't have a rehearsal. Anyway, we stepped down off this little stage and suddenly we were besieged by girls.
Lots of little girls.
With autograph books.
Yeah, with autograph
and it was a total surprise. Now, what we didn't know is they set this up. And we had not only did we sign our first autographs ever, but we had our first photographs taken as the Allison brothers. And I was so keen to be professional at I thought, we've got to make this happen. Once we settled on our name, when I worked in this drawing office near Putney Bridge, I'd been practising an autograph to see what would look good, the best way to write it. So I'd already been practising, but I'd never signed it for anyone. So on this occasion, when we were suddenly besieged, this girl thrust her autograph. I thought, you want my autograph? Right. So I signed my name, and I was so excited and so hurry, I signed Allison with 3 L's. And I said to Bob,
John,
I said, I've just misspelled my own name.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I got it right after that, you know.
Yeah, I remember practising my autograph.
Oh, you did too, did you?
When we started, I thought, I'm going to have to be signing autographs.
I didn't know that.
So I thought, right, I remember sitting at home, Bob, now that doesn't look right.
No, you've got to make it look nice.
Try it and
do you do the words side by side, and one underneath, or one over the top of the other one?
And you had to get your autograph right, and I thought, that's it. That's going to be it.
Got to look as if you know how to do it.
Goodbye, farewell, I'm not sure what to do. So long, au revoir. It's hard, but I'll pull through. Are you sure you want me? Sorry comes tomorrow. You won't want me back again to hold you tight.